kind of the timeline here is that the copyright directive that was passed in 2019 and was fought over for like years. Like it took years. It was like an unusually fraught process for any EU legislation. It was basically the entire term from 2014 to 2019. And big interests like the traditional media industries, the like news media, and also the creative industries and creative sectors were involved. And then on the other side was big tech, basically. American big tech companies. And predictably, the end result was that like the regular user and also like independent creators or like actual creators were kind of fucked over either or like forgotten or just definitely not prioritized in the eventual result. And yeah, it was passed 2 years ago. So why are we talking about it now? Well, the implementation deadline for the member states was now this June, a couple of months ago, early June. And I think the date when we got to the implementation deadline in early June, there were like 3 countries or something, 3 member states out of the 28 or whatever it is in the EU post-Brexit. It was just a few of the member states managed it, and apparently this is also pretty unusual. Usually, it's rare for every single member state to have like finished it by the deadline, but it's also very unusual for only like a small handful. Apparently, the current situation, according to the article, is 6 member states, and it was even less when the deadline hit.
Yeah.
So apparently some of them have managed to finalize it during the summer. And yeah, we're still and the funny thing is the implementation deadline was in early June, and the Article 17, which was the upload filter, like the meme apocalypse, that was the sort of the scare tactic or something that the industry is called as the scare tactic that like activists were using as an argument against some of parts of this legislation. The European Commission was supposed to give out guidelines on implementing it because it was so unclear. Like the text that passed was so unclear. And when the deadline hit in early June, it was a Monday, and the EU Commission guidelines, the official guidelines on how you're supposed to implement the law, they came on the Friday before that Monday. So this is the absolute state of things. In addition, something else that was supposed to come in before the implementation deadline was the statement from the Court of Justice of the European Union regarding this very same Article 17. The Polish government had filed this complaint about the same Article 17 based on like it potentially curtailing like basic rights, freedom of speech, freedom of expression. And the statement was scheduled for, I believe, April this year. And it was also postponed. But I guess we got lucky, and we now the day it got postponed to in July earlier this month, they actually got it out. The court didn't find it to like obviously conflict with the basic rights or basic freedoms.
Yeah, it's really good.
And we are basically relying on this handful of people who actually have worked in legislation or with the law to sort of unpack all these different stages and different actual legal texts for us, and even they have trouble.
And essentially what this is, for those of you who are interested in freedom of speech, is that this this at another level holds the platforms responsible for user content. And and the only real way to solve, like the only practical way, and this is what everyone said, is that the only way that a platform can check whether something is copyrighted or in otherwise deemed unsavory information by the state or any other actor who may claim it, is for automatic filters to be applied. And this is what has partly happened.
Every single thing
Sorry?
you or we put online,
Yeah.
every single thing has to be filtered. It has to be like checked before it gets shown to other people on the platform.
Yeah.
So it's basically like, it was called like censorship or preemptive censorship.
I mean, this is literal.
Opponents, and it's basically what it's going to mean.
I mean,
when it comes to most of the implementations we've seen so far.
And we've seen it been implemented. I mean, because obviously, as you may understand now, there are only huge platforms that can even do this. But originally, unless the Pirate had fought for it, this would have included every platform. So if you're opening a little blog and people are posting on it, you'd be responsible for content that other people post on it, which is, it's absolutely goddamn ridiculous, because we've seen police, play copyrighted songs to take down material of protests, right? I mean, I don't even know where to start with how many layers of stupidity this is. And that's the only way I can explain this and have hope in humanity. Because if you understand what this is doing, then you are, like, I can only explain it that this is stupid boomers who don't know what they're doing. And the worst thing is that they were promoting this as a defense for the little independent creator who would finally get paid from his... It's so ridiculous. You could at least argue that if you're hating if you're right-wing and your censorship and free speech is everything you care about, this should be the one thing that you focus your energy on. Because here we are talking about complete surveillance and preemptive control of what you can say. And this is at the state level, right?
Yeah. They can't do it manually. Like, there can't be human oversight for every suspected breach or like infringement on copyright. So this has to be done by machines, like professionals, like academics who work with the law, or attorneys or judges. Like, you give a handful of them the same case and they might not, it's a high likelihood that they won't come up with the exact same answer, or they won't be as certain about the verdict. They won't be like anonymous with the verdict. And then this is the kind of job the platforms are going to be forced to give to like algorithms.
I mean, we've already seen it.
Yeah, we've seen it with tons of things.
You're starting to see this in effect. Even live streams now are getting taken down. I mean, we get our videos completely taken off from YouTube. Even like we've been content strike 3 times and 3 times totally. Luckily, we don't dare to go live on YouTube.
You have to have a big enough platform on another social media, or you have to know people to be able to make enough of a shitstorm for them to reconsider your case if you get in trouble.
Yeah. This is like stuff for fucking nightmares here, and I mean, this is happening regardless of Article 17 or no. I just want to inform everyone, because this is huge money for these corporations as well. Like remember here that yes, Facebook Google had one part of their company, the official one, that were lobbying against this, but they had another part of their company was lobbying for this. Like this is not the big tech companies also, of course, understand that this puts them in a position where they will literally have monopoly over all of these stuff. Yeah, YouTube is the only one that can provide this service.
They are the only ones who can afford to either develop or fund the development of these so-called state-of-the-art technical solutions to basically all these ways to implement this like preemptive control. They are the only ones, which means they are going to own those tools, and everyone else is going to have to outsource. They're going to have to buy the control as a service from them. And this is also going to, like, at least like small to medium enterprises under there's a specific criteria for that based on yearly, whatever the word is, like how much money passes through them. I'm bad with the terminology in English, but yeah, they are exempt from this. But like once you pass the certain threshold, you have to start doing the filtering, which basically means that there is this like threshold where you have to either make the jump by being able to somehow afford buying these services or develop your own system that is good enough according to, I guess, whoever interprets the law. And like that show seems like it's going to be like this iron ceiling or iron cage for like any potential, European company that tries to compete with these US tech giants.
Yeah.
Which is kind of ironic given that like a big part of the justification for these laws was to like hit the US tech giants where it hurts.
Do not, particularly if you are a free speech type, vote for the parties that do this constantly. And unfortunately, this is right-wing parties more than most that is in super favor of empowering the tech giants, and at the same time they're like, oh no, but the tech giants.
Yeah, or at least like the conservative, like the traditional right-wing parties. Some, to their rare credit, many of the far-right parties in Europe and the European Parliament voted against this one. Like they actually picked up on this is going to destroy free speech. Like the EU is doing at it again. Like they actually voted against it. And it was the Polish government, which was already ruled by these far-right people, that raised the complaint to the CGEU. So that's a rare silver lining to having these kinds of like influences in the EU. It was pretty much up to like the pirate presence, who for the 5 years that most of the work the work on the directive was done was like a single person, Julia Reda, in the European Parliament, a single pirate. Like it was basically up to them that there was like any significant resistance or any force in the entire European machinery of the European Union, like opposing all of this bullshit and trying to fix at least something.
It was 5 years of hard work to try to get people to open their eyes for this. Preciously few did.
Yeah.
And
the only reason like we know about this and we are able to discuss this and have been able to follow it is thanks to one pirate MEP and their extremely dedicated team and a number of volunteers across Europe.
What they managed to do is put that so that small platforms don't get included in this. This was the win, to a certain extent. I mean, apart from raising awareness about this, but it's absolutely... I don't know what to say about this. So sad.
Over 30 articles in the package, so some of them were actually good. Like you can read up on it. There are the biggest one, the best resource is probably the Communia Association. They have this tally of like the good and the bad and the ugly about this, and also they are tracking the implementation in different countries. But they have this rundown of or these rundowns from during the process and after the finalization, where they go through like different articles and like whether they ended up like decent or just outright bad. Like the biggest issues were this one that we've been talking about, Article 17, and also Article 15. And to confuse it further, those were called Article 11 and 13 for most of the process. Exactly. They changed it around like before one of the big votes, probably just to throw everyone off, like throw the media.
I mean, it sure feels like it.
The MEPs off. But basically, like the two big issues, and we barely got media to talk about it and people to talk about it.